So President Trump and Vice President Vance are the latest leaders to say they've seen the photos in the media and therefore there must be, to quote Trump yesterday, real starvation in Gaza. Vance added yesterday, and I quote, "I don't know if you've seen all these images. You've got little kids who are clearly starving to death." Surely a Republican pro-Israel president cannot be fooled by anti-Israel media images that may have been cropped or distorted or tampered with. Well, think again. Even the most lionized of right-wing Republican presidents, Ronald Reagan, was taken in back in 1982 during the Lebanon PLO-Israel war. I've looked up reports from that time. Here is one on screen now from August 23, 1982, 43 years ago. It reads, "An allegedly armless child whose picture is displayed on President Reagan's desk as a symbol of the suffering in Lebanon turns out to be a boy, not a girl, as alleged, and has both arms intact." According to the caption accompanying the United Press International photo distributed throughout the world, it was a picture of a baby girl swathed in bandages after both arms had been blown off by a misdirected Israeli bomb. The child was seen held in the arms of a nurse. At the time, UPI was a major international news agency. The picture and caption were also distributed globally by the Associated Press. The photo and caption then appeared in, among other publications, the Washington Post and the New York Times. Reagan saw it in the Post and ordered the photo to be placed on his desk in the Oval Office. These were the days before the internet, so it took a few days for Israel to be aware that this photo had been published in Washington and placed by Reagan on his desk. Israel then tracked down the child in Lebanon and the nurse, as well as the child's mother, and both confirmed the infant's arms had not been blown off at all, and they said they'd never suggested otherwise to the photographer. UPI then acknowledged they had been fooled by PLO propagandists. The Washington Post belatedly ran a correction. Reagan removed the photo from his desk. The New York Times, however, and there's no surprise here, refused to run a proper correction. So there's a decades-long history of the media being fooled by anti-Israel propagandists. I remember my fellow journalists being taken in when I myself was working as a news reporter in the Middle East. You can look up my article, Jeningrad from the Second Palestinian Intifada, if you Google it. So we should be very, very cautious about the reports coming out of Gaza now. Photos like this from the cover of an Italian magazine 3 days ago, which turns out to be an older photo of a child who had genetic illness, a child that has thankfully since received medical treatment and is now considerably better. Indeed, pretty much all of the photos you're now seeing on screen have been proved to be of children with congenital or other diseases. As Saul Sadka wrote this morning, there's a special place in hell for the editors and journalists who took Hamas photos of children with congenital conditions and broadcast them to their already radicalized audience with the message, "Look what the Jews did." Now, this is not to say there's not hardship and hunger in Gaza. Every war has hardship and hunger, and the situation in Gaza is indeed a tragedy. But even Hamas's Gaza Health Ministry claims about starvation in Gaza are dwarfed by those in other ongoing wars and conflict situations. For example, those in Haiti, Sudan, or Ethiopia, where tens of thousands of children have died of malnutrition. We don't hear much about the extensive involvement of foreign powers, including Western and Arab states, supplying weapons to those conflicts. Google it if you don't know. What about this report from earlier this week by Reuters, published on the evening of July 25 and headlined, "At least 652 children have died from malnutrition in Nigeria in the last 6 months." That is 10 times what even the Hamas Health Ministry in Gaza are claiming. So why aren't we hearing about this from Western leaders? Do Black Lives not matter? The answer, of course, is that all lives matter, including lives in Africa and the Middle East, or for that matter, people who go hungry sleeping on the streets of American cities. Yes, Gaza and Israel and the West Bank need a better future, including, of course, plenty of food. Yes, the war in Gaza needs to end. The hostages need to be released. But the question is whether Western politicians reacting to the media repeating Hamas propaganda designed to keep Hamas in power is the best way to achieve a better future for Gaza.